Hi everyone and welcome to today's card. We're going to be making a Father's Day card today, and we'll be using some W+9, MFT and Impression Obsession products, as well as some inks from the Ranger Distress Oxide range. So we're going to be making a flip-flop card, which is a new type of card for me, and an interactive card, which is always fun. And it's going to be a side folding card. The reason why this is so important is because of the flip-flop. So I've measured here the center, and I'm just marking with a pencil where the center would be and where I would need to run that through the die cutting machine. So I wanted to stamp the front panel first with some Distress Oxide ink and the Dizzy Dots background, and I'm just heavily laying that on. I'm layering that ink on to the background stamp set. So I'm just going to place the card front panel over and got some scrap piece of paper and just applying a good amount of pressure throughout that card and just making sure I get what I can. I'm not going to be overly stressed if I don't get a good imprint, which you'll see. Because there's going to be some layers added to this card, you won't notice too much of it as well. So just lifting that off, revealing this really cool background, which I absolutely love. It's ready to be put through the big shots. So just grabbing the die again. I'm going to get some washi tape, place it in the center where I've marked with the pencil, and just making sure this will not move. Now also opening it up before I put it through the big shot. Don't ask me how I know that, but I do. And I'm just going to carefully lift this off the panel here. Now I do take my time because I forgot to de-static or de-stick the washi tape. So now this actually scores as well, so I just used my bone folder to reinforce, and there you see the flip-flop part, which I absolutely love. I think it's so much fun, and it's a great fun element to add on your cards. This also comes with the rectangle insert. I initially thought I was going to use the pattern paper, but I didn't want to cover all of that stamped background, so I decided on vellum. Now this is the stamp set W+9, which comes with coordinating dies, which is fabulous. It also has the shadow component of the word, which I'll die cut in black cardstock, and then also the word dad I'm going to cut with pattern paper from the MFT black and white range. Now here I am thinking I've chosen one kind of paper and I second guess myself, which is fine, which is great. So I couldn't guess, so I die cutted it twice and made my decision. So after I die cutted it twice, I held it up against the black cardstock and also in the card, and I realized I want the stripes. I think it would be just too dotty overbearing, if that even makes sense. So here I am just prepping my vellum, and I brought my block into view, choose the sentiment world's greatest, and I realized this block was a little bit small, so I just turned my block into an angle to fit the sentiment in. I was just too lazy to get another one, to be honest. So here I am bringing the Wow embossing powder and the ink pad and the heat gun into view, and just stamping the actual sentiment on the panel. And then I've prepped my cardstock, as you saw earlier, and I'm going to just shake the Superfine Ebony Black embossing powder over the top on scrap paper. So this scrap paper catches any of the leftover embossing powder, and then I can funnel it back into the actual little container. So yeah, I didn't bring a brush into view. My nail was sufficient to scrap any leftover embossing powder. And here I am using my liquid glue to adhere the actual striped pattern paper down on the cardstock. And I also went a bit heavy on the foam mount. As you'll see, I'll bring that into view. I'll just place a block down so that can just take time to adhering down. And I whack a whole heap of foam mount behind the sentiment, and then I placed it on the vellum. Now behind the vellum, I would like to stick that down. I didn't want to use the glue, the liquid glue, because I find the vellum can warp. Occasionally it can, depending how heavy-handed I go with the glue. So instead of having to worry about that, I just brought my glue dots, placed them all over this behind the sentiment, and then just adhered that and pressed that down onto that flip-flop panel. I also wanted to carry the theme and do a little bit more on the inside. It's been just my thing at the moment, making sure it's finished. So I've got it's basically 1/8 of an inch smaller than that panel. So I brought that in, then I cut the square or the rectangle to fit the exact same size, and I wanted to sit flush behind the flip-flop part. So to do that, I've just penciled it in and where I want that to sit. Now, because of the shape of this rectangle, I felt it did look a little bit awkward. So I brought in the designer series paper, cut a little bit of the strip off, just to put on the left-hand side of that, which I think is a perfect element for that. I did want to continue some of that blue front element and ink on the inside. So I've brought back the stamp set into view, decided, look, I'm going to use the stars and just stamp that on the bottom right corner with the Distress Oxide inks, just to add that blue element also on the inside panel. So I thought, yep, that's the card. Like, I finished it off. I think it looks amazing. It was so much fun to make. It was easy. And then I realized, you know what, I need the black and white element again on that side. I could see a little bit of the dots peeking on the left hand side. So I'm like, no, I wasn't happy with that. So I decided to add a very thin strip of that paper, again flush against the left side of that side folding card. And that way, if it did peek through, which it does slightly, it's like a hair, but it did bug me. So I did put a little bit of paper on the side, which you can see, which is perfect. So there's my flip-flop card. I was quite happy with that and how it turned out. And it was very fun to make. So I hope you enjoyed today's card creations for Craftie Cafe.